Hello everyone! Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was trying to find a place where there isn't too much noise in the park, so hopefully you can hear me today. So welcome, I'm Anka Novakovic and I run Eco Coach, and I help organizations become more green and eco-friendly, reduce their resource use, grow sales, get more customers through that, and I've been doing it for 13 plus years. And today, in honor of World Oceans Day, which was actually last Saturday, June 8th, I wanted to talk about 10 ways that smaller businesses can reduce their plastics use. And when I go through these, I'm sure these are going to be really familiar, and I'm sure you've come into contact with some of these plastics either at work pretty regularly or at home. So think about how not just you can reduce this at work in your business and kind of in your place of work, but also at home. So you're gonna have to excuse me. I think I have something in my eye here and I have contacts. Okay, so here we go. The thing that I'm sure you're all aware, there is plastic. The plastic pollution problem is ubiquitous. It's in our oceans. I think there are about 8 million metric tons of debris that go in annually into our oceans. We have about 150 metric tons that are already there. So it's a bad problem. There are some countries, and starting with African countries, that have banned plastic, single-use plastic. There's some countries, there's some cities in the U.S. that have also done that. Thinking Seattle, New York, Chicago, Boston, among some of them, and then my city of Washington, D.C. has taxed them for a while now. So again, actually Canada is looking at reducing and banning single-use plastic in 2021. So they've been inspired by the EU, who's also looking at it. So needless to say, this is something that is recognized as a problem, and there are so many things that you can do at your business, at your or nonprofit, to take action and to reduce your plastics use. So let's go ahead and get started. And as you know me, if you've watched any of the other Facebook Lives, I am not good at remembering data, and I'm going to be sharing some data with you today from different resources, so I'm going to be reading that stuff. I'm also hoping that since this is it's pretty windy today, and I'm actually the phone is in a tree. Just again, we're outdoors, so I'm really hoping that it's going to stay there, but hopefully it won't fall. All right, so let's get started. The first thing is, the thing that I just talked about: get rid of any and all plastic bags. We have, let's see, what's the data here? Well, I don't need to go into the data. As I mentioned before, there are a lot of cities that have banned single-use plastic bags. If you are in the retail industry and you're still offering single-use plastic bags, don't wait until you're required to not do it. So definitely just go ahead and take action now. You can offer recyclable, reusable bags. You can offer cardboard boxes, the way that Costco does and other places do, that might otherwise be thrown out, so you can just reuse them that way. So think of ways that you can get rid of all the plastic bags. If you are using plastic bags personally, I can give you more tips on that at another date, but put reusable bags in your car. Set some sort of reminder to kind of use those bags instead of getting plastic bags from the store. So the second thing was replacing K-cups with a good old-fashioned coffee machine, okay? And this goes for those of you who are listening and who have K-cups at home, okay? K-cups actually, according to the story of Stuff, the number of K-cups in landfill could wrap around the planet 10 times. And guess what? They're not even recyclable. Like, the president of Keurig Green Mountain has said that they will be producing K-cups that are made of plastic number 5 starting in 2020, but only about a third of recycling facilities in the US actually recycle plastic number 5. So it's not even recyclable in a lot of places, first of all, and second of all, the chances of it being recycled are pretty low, so it's going to be sitting in landfill. So get rid of the K-cup. If you're in a small business, use an old-fashioned coffee machine. I know cold brew is also hot nowadays, no pun intended, so you can take a look at that and see if your colleagues and your staff prefer that. You can look into that. The third thing is plastic straws, right? I am sure you have seen pictures of some beaches that are littered with plastic straws. Again, I'm reading this because I don't trust myself to remember these numbers. Over 500 million plastic straws are used each day in the US, according to the Plastic Pollution Coalition. And in case you're wondering what that means in terms of the circumference of the Earth and how many times that wraps around the Earth, it's 2.5 times per day that plastic straws could be wrapped around the Earth. So again, plastic straws can be done with. If you are at a restaurant and you're given a plastic straw, you can say no thank you. You can even let them know that this is not something that, you know, that you prefer that they didn't use it. If you are a hospitality, in the hospitality industry, or if you're offering straws at work, think about alternatives. Okay, there are the metal straws, which I know cost more, and obviously if you're in the hospitality industry, you can't do that, or you can, but it's a lot more work and it's more expensive. You have the paper straws, you even have silicone straws, or just no straws. We used to drink, you know, water and anything else out of the cup. So, you know, we can do that again. I am sure, and I have faith that your colleagues are able to do that. Okay, so again, plastic straws, get rid of those. So that's number 3. Okay, and if you're just joining us, number 1 was plastic bags, reusable plastic bags. I'm sorry, not reusable, just single-use plastic bags. The second is K-cups. The third is plastic straws. The fourth is homemade lunches. And I know if you're working at a small business, you may have a lot of folks who are bringing in kind of ready-made lunches that have a lot of packaging, they have a lot of plastic, not to mention that they're not as healthy as homemade lunches. In order to have staff and bring in homemade lunches, you would need to have a refrigerator, you would need to have a microwave, and a place where they can actually prepare those lunches for eating, right? So that's something that ideally you would have access to, and if you don't have access to it, your current office, you might want to think about an office nearby or a business nearby where you could share some space around that, right? So think about also encouraging that. One of the things that I really focus on with a lot of my clients, and I want to encourage you, is education, right? So you want to let your colleagues know why they would want to do that. And obviously homemade lunches are, for the most part, healthier for you. You also have the meal kits, right? So meal kits, and believe it or not, there's actually been some studies that have been done that the environmental impact of those ready-made meal kits isn't as bad as originally thought. It's bad in terms of the plastic, but when you take into account food waste, it actually may be slightly better than buying food and making it at the grocery store. So that's something that is interesting. So if you have folks who have ready-made meal kits that they're using that, definitely also encourage them to do that. That's homemade meals as well. So number 5, reusable takeout containers for your staff. And so according to the NRDC, the single-use food and beverage packaging is actually one of the largest sources of the 270,000 plus tons of plastic pollution in the oceanways. And I know this is something probably that if you're looking at as a small business and you're thinking, really, reusable containers for my staff? Well, you can get relatively cost-effective silicone containers or BPA-free containers, a Tupperware that you can offer and have. Again, you would need like a kitchen area or a storage area, and encourage your staff when they do go out to lunch, instead of bringing a container home or container back to the office from the restaurant, just encourage them to take one of those containers and give that to the restaurant. That's also going to kind of get the restaurant thinking about, okay, how are different ways that we could provide alternatives to just the takeout containers. And I know that there are some places kind of in California that have reusable containers that you can actually bring back to the restaurant. So that is number 5. Number 6, water bottles, right? I am sure you've heard about this. Plastic water bottles, about 50 billion water bottles per year are being purchased in the US. So that's about 13 bottles per person per month. So that's every other day, plastic bottles, and not just water bottles, that are being used by Americans, right? And so think about having a water cooler, think about having a filter, and there are a lot of filters out there that aren't too expensive, right? Or, oh, and the other thing that I wanted to mention there is vending machines, right? Vending machines give you access and give everyone access to more plastic bottles, right? Think of the Coke machines, the Coke machines, but the Coke bottles, the Mountain Dew bottles and what have you. So figure out a way maybe to get rid of the vending machines, offer some alternatives. And you know what? I know this is probably something that you're kind of cringing at. You might be cringing at. You're like, I like a Coke once in a while. Well, there are other ways. Maybe you can have them in cans, or talk to your vendor and see what else they can provide. Okay, but that's another source of kind of easy plastic bottle use that could be reduced. Okay, number 7 is reusable utensils and plates. Right, really obvious. I think you obviously need access to a kitchen area or just a common area where you can leave these. They're cheaper in the long run, and of course you would need access to some sort of dishwasher. And believe me, I know, and I've worked with some clients who have kind of gone through the logistics of, okay, we need to get the cleaning crew on board with turning on the dishwasher at night, making sure that those are cleaned, right? And at the end of the day, you want to make sure that, or the next day, you want to make sure that the dishes are unloaded, right? Those logistics cause much less of a headache than all the plastic pollution, essentially, that would be going into the landfill and into our waterways, right? So, and also, by the way, there's no such thing as a sustainable disposable product when it comes to utensils and paperware and what have you, right? I mean, if you're sitting around the campfire, and this is obviously not a small business, if you're sitting around the campfire and you have a paper plate, you can throw the paper plate into the fire, right? But even if you're purchasing bamboo plasticware, if you're purchasing bamboo utensils and dinnerware for your guests, that's still less eco-friendly than reusable. Okay, so number 8, another obvious one, select products from suppliers and manufacturers that use minimal packaging, right? So you want to buy in bulk whenever possible. You want to buy in concentrated amounts whenever possible. So you kind of want to think when you have your cleaning products, your janitorial staff, you want to ask them what they're using, right? So you want to have that conversation. If you're a small business, you're thinking, okay, you know what? I might buy my stuff from Office Max. I don't really have kind of the purchasing power to ask my vendors for anything that is more eco-friendly, where there's less packaging or what have you. But guess what you do? The more you ask, even the Office Maxes of the world, or the Staples of the world, the more you ask, the more they're going to listen and realize that, you know what, even small businesses are interested in this, so we need to find a solution that they want to use from us, or else the competitor is going to figure it out, right? Number 9 is buying reusable pens. And I know this seems like a really small thing, right? However, according to the EPA, Americans throw away 1.6 billion disposable pens every year. And I bet you, if you look at home and if you look at your office, you have a minimum of 20 pens lying around that you're not using, right? I have a ton of pens that some of them have run out of ink, or I've just forgotten about, and I actually just found a stash the other day where you're not using them, right? So if you're in an office where you do a lot of writing, or you can maybe afford to provide maybe one nice pen for your staff that they could really use and it can be refillable, that's a great option. I would also think about doing a little treasure hunt around your office or your place of business and figuring out how many pens you have and actually using them, right, before they run out of ink, before they dry out, so that you don't have to buy new pens, right? The last item, which is number 10, is using refillable containers for soap and other toiletries. So you might work in a cafe, you might own a cafe, you might work in an office-based business. Anywhere you go, you're going to have soap for the restrooms, I hope. And you're going to have other toiletries possibly. So think about, if you're a small business, a lot of times you'll buy like something from the store and just offer it and just kind of put it at the sink. Think about what you can do that's an alternative. You can use refillable containers, You can use a glass container. You can use something that is not plastic ideally, and that can be refilled, right? So that's another way that you can do it. So these are 10 different things that you can do. I would love to hear other ideas that you have. And you know what, like any other aspect of going green and being sustainable, it takes a while. It's a journey. You're looking at this and you're thinking, you know what, yeah, it's easy for her to say, but I have a small business, or I work in a small business, and trying to change their mindset around this isn't going to be that easy. Well, that's okay. Start with one thing today. What's one thing that you can do today? Okay. And I would also say, education, as I mentioned, is really, really important. Why are you doing it? What are your values? How does this align to your business's values? And I would ask, one thing is like getting everyone involved, asking them to take a pledge like the Clean Seas Pledge, which I will link to down below, right? You want to make it fun, right? Changing behavior is pretty tough, but you want to make it fun, because if people aren't having fun at work, they're probably bored to tears, and they probably won't stick around. I hate to tell you. And if you feel like your organization is really close to zero waste, so zero waste is defined as 10% or less of your total waste going to landfill, you want to think about getting a zero waste certification. So the true TRUE zero waste certification is now with the U.S. Green Building Council. You can look it up. I can also include the link down below, and you can get certified as a small, as a zero waste business, and you can absolutely market that and share that with your customers. And I've got to tell you, like I've said this in so many other Facebook Lives and blogs, the millennials really care about sustainability. You have the LOHAS movement, which is basically 1 in 4 adult American who is looking to purchase items that are sustainable and healthier. So there's a market out there. So if you're a small business, regardless of what industry you're in, sustainability is something that is a must-do. If you are getting started with it, I would encourage you to check out our sustainability checklist and download it. It's free on the website, and also link down below to it. And that's it. Have a fantastic day, and I hope you can take some of these. And one more thing. Check out our blog, eco-coach.com/blog. I have an article that has more information about this, and so you can read a little bit more if Facebook Live isn't your thing, or if you're not able to listen to all of this. Have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.